Mark Kimmitt, who joins me in the studio. He's the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Middle East Policy. Welcome. Now, before we talk about anything to do with foreign policy, is what we're seeing on these maps right now what you envisaged yesterday?
In many ways, yes. In many ways, no. I didn't think it would be this close. I knew it was going to be close, but this really is going to turn out to be a decision probably in one state. And remarkably, the Senate races seem to be not turning towards a Democratic majority in the Senate, but it may leave and probably will leave the Republicans in charge of the United States Senate.
And how far apart on foreign policy are Trump and Biden?
Well, I think they have a different overall theology on foreign policy. It is clear that President Trump came in on an isolationist policy, said, look, we've got a lot of problems in America. We don't need to fix the problems around the world if we can't fix our own problems first. Make America great again. On the other hand, Joe Biden is an internationalist, a globalist. He's believed in strong alliances, such as NATO, such as Trans-Pacific Partnership. He believes that the best way to keep America safe and prosperous is by dealing with the outside world, engaging with the outside world, trading with the outside world.
Now, a big issue of contention has been Iran-US policy.
Yep.
What shift could there be there if there is a Biden presidency?
Yeah, I would say that anybody in the Middle East is probably whipsawed after the last three administrations. You had President Bush, who was very much traditional, support the Arabs, push against Iran. President Obama comes in, let's try to reach out to the Iranians, and in doing so, kind of upset the Arab allies. President Trump comes in, and he now has reversed that, which is antagonism towards the Iranians, friendliness towards the Arabs. I think Joe Biden will go back to the Obama policy of reaching out to the Iranians to try to get back into the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action and try to make a nuclear deal viable again with the Iranians, which of course will upset the Arab allies.
Now, what happens to US forces overseas? Yesterday when we spoke about the fact that under Trump, he started no new wars.
Right.
And he has, of course, talked about ending forever wars, and yet there are still US troops in the region, still fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. What happens here?
Well, I think we're going to see if President Trump comes in, he will continue, or stay in, he will continue his policy of reducing the fighting wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. But I think Joe Biden would do the same, and candidly, I think both of them will still maintain a large military presence in the Middle East, not as a fighting force, but as a deterrence force. So while Iraq and Afghanistan may finish up, we'll still see a lot of forces in Saudi Arabia, in UAE, in Kuwait, in Qatar, but as a deterrence force, not as a fighting force.
What about Libya? So much has changed there in the past few months.
Yeah. I'm really surprised that President Trump and this administration have not seized the opportunity in Libya for the United States of America. We have allies on both sides of the debate, both sides of the fighting. We have not taken a position which gives us a natural opportunity to be an honest broker. But with everything else going on, I'm not surprised that the Department of State isn't jumping into that opportunity.
And what about Afghanistan? Again, so much still hanging in the balance there with the peace talks and continued violence. What needs to change there and could possibly change?
I think it's on a course to Americans withdrawing and having this fictional peace deal. Fiction because the deal is that the Taliban say the Americans must leave and they will take care of Al-Qaeda. The Americans say, we will leave and never come back. Well, that's just not true. We know the Taliban can't take care of Al-Qaeda, and the Americans aren't simply going to let a Taliban-run Afghanistan become a safe haven for terrorism. So if there is a terrorist threat, we will violate the policy, and we will conduct counterterrorism operations in Afghanistan, regardless of what the Taliban say.
Well, Kimmitt, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you very much indeed. Always a pleasure to have you in the studio.